EP7 celebrating 4 years of On the Call. I'm Ozzy Stewart. I'm very grateful that you've tuned in to this Thank You for Mine, giving flowers to deserving actors. On this episode, I'm shining light on Felisha George, a.k.a. Arrow the Symbol. Before I do so, I want to give thanks to a young lady who runs a company called That Fucking Feminist for this t-shirt. Thank you so very much. Do you see it? Can you see that?
I love this.
Yes. And so going back to Felisha, as I do on my audios, I give a full rundown to my audience as to who the guest is. And then we're going to get into it. Yeah?
Awesome.
Perfect. Felisha George, a.k.a. Arrow the Symbol, was born and raised in the suburbs of Maplewood-South Orange, New Jersey, and formerly known as Felisha George. Arrow the Symbol is born this year. Was that this year?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
She's a recording artist, performer, lyricist, conjurer of rhythmic color, who walked the same school hallways as artists such as Lauryn Hill, Bisa Butler, and SZA. Right.
Yes.
Following high school, Felisha studied acting at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, AMDA, in Manhattan. And 1 semester later, she transferred to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. Acted in college and high school, and is still a teacher of songwriting and hip-hop to high school and middle school students. She fell in love with hip-hop via ciphers. Those are gatherings of rappers, circle gatherings of rappers, in her grandmother's project garden in South Bronx, raised in a Trini-American household with parents, uncles, and cousins, all extremely immersed in the hip-hop culture. And later she performed at jazz poetry lounges in New Jersey and on IG and small events to kickstart her career. And when she started recording and posting in social media, that's when Netflix Rhythm and Flow got a hold of her. And she was on the first season, hosted by T.I., Cardi B, and Chance the Rapper, which featured phenomenal giants in the music industry such as Nipsey Hussle, Snoop Dogg, Quavo, and Felisha positioned herself as a lyrical queen of note and made it into the top 16 contestants. Now, after filming the show, she moved to Philadelphia and began doing work with the Black Liberation Family called MOVE, M-O-V-E.
Yes.
In the midst of becoming a rapper, however, she ran for office.
Yes.
Specifically to be on the Board of Education in her hometown of Maplewood, New Jersey, between the year 2017 and 18, in her early 20s. And though she didn't win the election, she knew that many were impacted by the things that she said and did when running for office. Soon after that, her first album dropped, called Wash Your Soul Out, with 10 singles. And in 2022, she performed at the Carnegie Hall, which was a big deal for femme in the hip-hop industry. And 2023 found herself in Cape Town, South Africa, and a residency at the House of Sedulo in Baltimore. And also was at the Rockwood Music Hall in New York. Her future projects include working with Noriko Shakti, a music producer from Japan, Lady Scavia, a musician from India, and London B, whom she met on Rhythm and Flow. 2022, November, she changed her name to Arrow the Symbol. So, can be found at Arrow the Symbol, ARROWTHESYMBOL on the IG. So now, we know a little bit about Felisha. You had mentioned once that you were inspired by your dad. Why?
So my dad is a big hip hop fan. He loves hip hop so much.
Is that the Trini end of the Trini America? Uh-huh.
Yes. So he's Trini. He's fully Trini. And growing up, we had a big basement in our house, and he had this huge sound system. And the kids weren't allowed in the basement because that's where the adults would party. And he would be playing Biggie, Tupac, Lil' Kim, Lauryn Hill, Ice Cube, everyone you can think of. So I had a huge range of just hip hop in my life at all times. And so that really inspired me a lot. And also he's a very quiet man. Like you'll meet him and I'll tell you what his favorite song is and you'll be like, there's no way. And it's like, yes, that's his favorite song.
Wow.
So he definitely showed me like a range of how you can like love a certain genre that some people can be like, oh, this genre is not the best, but he loves it. And so it definitely set me up for that.
What was it that he loved about it?
I think it's the beat.
Okay.
I think he loves hip hop beats. He also loves lyrics.
Okay.
He's a big lyric guy. So that definitely got me into hip hop as well.
So in terms of the performance end of your journey, what got you to the performing end of the journey?
Well, so my American side, my mom, she's from the Bronx.
Right.
And so she's also very big on hip hop. She was a DJ when hip hop first became a thing. And she was also a rapper.
Okay.
And so being around them all the time, every family reunion, every gathering, everyone was performing. We had family talent shows and stuff like that. So from a young age, maybe like 3 or 4, I was always performing. Okay. And my siblings would always make me rap. And so I was always performing. I knew the stage was where I wanted to be. I didn't know in what capacity.
Right.
But the stage was I was always on it.
Okay. So you were told or you were called that you would be on Rhythm and Flow on a specific day.
Yeah, on my birthday.
How that must have been like.
It was a little scary. I was having a sleepover, and I had woke up that morning, and all my friends are like laying in the room around me. And I was just like, you know what, y'all? I think I'm giving myself my flowers. Like, I am great at rapping.
Right.
I'm amazing at it. I was like, I don't know anyone who's better than me, and I don't talk like that very
Right.
often. And then literally 30 seconds later, I get a phone call. 30 seconds later, and
Talk
I'm
about
like,
claiming.
yeah.
How is it working with Cardi B?
Well, she's great. She's so funny, and she's very much herself. You know, she's not acting. And she's super kind and sweet, and
All the things that we
loved
think
it.
that she is, she actually
Yeah,
is.
she actually is.
Oh.
She actually is.
So what is your positive takeaway from being on that show?
For me, I feel like it was a lot different for me because at that time I didn't have a lot of music out. I maybe had one song out at that time, and everyone else had multiple albums and you know, all these things that people could watch and look at. And for me, it was like, you know, sometimes it's just who you are, you know. Sometimes it's not about how much you have out or how many people you know or how long you've been doing it. Sometimes you're just walking in your path and you get where you need to go. And so that was beautiful for me to understand.
How are the relationships among you competitors?
It was actually really beautiful. I wish the show showed more of that. We had definitely our own relationships. Like after we would film, we'd all be together in someone's hotel room, hanging out, rapping until the sun came up. But we were super close. And still, there's a lot of people that I'm close to from the show.
London B being the closest?
Yes.
Why is that?
We connected from the first day, from before filming even started. We met right outside the hotel in LA, and I really liked her hair. And I was hanging out with Carter. He had like the high top, one take Carter. And I was like, oh my God, Carter, I love her hair, but I'm afraid to say anything. And he's like, just go talk to her. And she ended up coming up to me and was like, I love your outfit. And I was like, I love your hair. And then from there, she like invited me to come hang out, and we hung out, and we've been this close ever since.
She live East Coast or West Coast?
She's from Brooklyn, but she lives in Atlanta.
Got it. Huh. Might be visiting Atlanta soon.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
What was the most excruciating moments on the show for you?
For me, I think the kind of artist I am, I would have enjoyed if like they did it backwards. So it started with like a cypher, a battle. Cypher and a battle. I'm missing one thing. And then after that was like music video, make a song, do all these things. And for me, I felt like if you want to know who an artist is or, you know, how they create, you might want to hear them make a song first before you make them battle. Because that's just not the kind of artist I am. I'm not a battle rapper or someone that's going to try to tear someone else down. I feel like that really threw me off.
Right.
But I feel like if we were able to make a song first and make the videos first, and then they can, you know, go from there, judge from that space would have been better. But to feel put against people didn't feel great to me. That's just not the kind of person I am. So it's hard for me to even get in that mind space. And I also love people so much. So by the time it was time for a battle, I'm like, wait, but I love everyone here. I don't know how to do this. I love everyone so much. Like, I don't know. So yeah, that was hard for me. That was very hard.
How would you, after that, there must have been some sort of notoriety that happened.
Yeah.
How did you work with that? And have you gained more bookings based on just being there?
For sure. I think it definitely changed. I would say maybe the first month or two after the show came out, I couldn't go anywhere. And it was very confusing for me because I'm like, I only got to the top 16. Like, I can't even go out to eat without people being like, oh my God, you're queen. Like, I saw you on TV. And that was really frustrating at first because it was like I couldn't go anywhere, even walking down the street. And at the time I was teaching also, so like being on the train and like I'm still a regular person, so it's not like I was super rich and was able to just live my life after that. I'm like in the world. So it was hard to adjust to that and still be in the same place, if that makes sense. Like being in the same place, but everyone knows you now. Right. And they have a certain expectation of you and a certain view of you, but you're still, you know, in the same place. I was still in Maplewood-South Orange at that time. So it's like not much had changed except for how people saw me. So that was tough to sit with. And bookings came, you know, they're still coming from that experience. Like things are still, you know, going great.
Amen. How would you describe your music?
I would describe it for sure as a spiritual experience. I feel like I dig very deep for music. And sometimes when I try to write, it doesn't come and I don't force it. Like I let it come to me instead of me trying to make it happen. So it feels like a spiritual experience. It's like an adventure, a trip somewhere.
So there's an image that I have of you. I'm not sure if it was might have been in South Africa where you're sitting down under in a covered area and the water is behind you and you look like you're writing. So it looked very, you were at peace. Things were flowing. I mean, that environment seemed to work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And there was another picture I saw of you with, I know this was in South Africa, and in the background, beautiful trees, beautiful green, and there again you were working. At one point you were playing the guitar.
Yeah.
But it was, How important is being intentional in your lyrics, your look, your fashion, your audience?
It's very important to me. I feel like I cannot move without intention. Like, I have so much music that's not even out because I'm like, no, I have to be intentional about like how this goes out. And also how I'm perceived, because I feel like in music you have a lot of power. And I feel like power is something we have to be important with, like, you know, see as important and be intentional about, because you could be super powerful and be putting a whole bunch of bad energy out into the world, and that's not how I want to be.
Right. What are your top three? Who are your top three artists?
I would say Left Eye for sure. She's
Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
That's my girl.
Her uncle and I were like this. The person who used to do her all her costumes.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Wow.
We were like this. He passed away a couple of years ago, but like this.
Wow.
Amazing guy.
She is my favorite artist of all time. I love Left Eye. And then I would say Lauryn Hill for sure. Yeah, I love Lauryn. And a third person, it's always so hard for me when it comes to a top three.
Who would you love to work with at this point in your life, in your career? Give me two.
I would love to work with Lauryn Hill, one. And then I would say Black Thought for sure. Lyrically, he's the best rapper I've ever heard in my life. And thankfully I got to, you know, work with him for Carnegie Hall. But I would love to work with him, you know.
Work.
Yeah.
You heard that coming from here.
Yes.
You heard it.
Yes.
Okay. What got you interested in activism?
You know, that's always such a funny question, because it's like it kind of came out of nowhere. And my family isn't very like vocal or very, they're definitely not activists, although they, you know, care about things that happen in the world. So I think being around people who like cared a lot, and you feel the emotion of when something happens to a Black person outside. We all feel the emotion, but then there's like a lack of action behind it. And I'd be like, well, why aren't we doing anything? Like, what do we do from here? How do we help? How do we stop this from continuing to be a thing? And also growing up in a white town, as a Black person, it was very hard to navigate, you know, like, and to understand myself fully. And I felt like there were some barriers put in place to make that difficult. And so I was like, yeah, I have to do something. Like, I can't just do nothing, because there are people that are going to come after me, just like there were people who came before me, and I could see where those people are, and I could see how it's affected them. Right. And I don't want to just allow that to keep happening if I have some sort of, you know, say in it.
You've been doing sit-ins.
Yes.
Your latest one has been for Dalen. Talk about.
So Dalen is 4 years old. He's Black. He's autistic. And he was hung upside down by his ankles by his teacher, by his preschool teacher. And
how does that happen? I mean, how do you, how?
Right. Who knows? She was trying to get him to calm down or sit down or do whatever she wanted him to do, and he wouldn't do it. And so she picked him up.
In autism? She trained
No.
in that?
She was just a teacher.
Regular teacher.
Yeah. And that's the issue. You know, that's a big part of the issue, that a lot of the teachers that are in that classroom are not trained to support kids with IEPs or support kids with learning disabilities. And he's also nonverbal. So he couldn't say anything. And the only reason that his family found out is because another teacher who was in the room told the principal the next day. So
waited until the next day after he was hung?
Yep. So, and it's so funny that this family also supported my family. I have 2 nephews that lived with me, and Dalen's grandmother was their babysitter when we were younger. And so I had already knew them. So as soon as my mom called me, like, oh, this happened to Dalen, I was like, oh, I'm on it. Right. You know, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to support them in this, because that's absurd, you know.
That when you posted that, I was like, I mean, this is not 19.
Right.
And then now you're saying that the call from the other teacher didn't go out until after it was done. It's not like it was happening and they were running out to.
Right. And then the principal did not contact the family until 48 hours after that. So
are there any repercussions happening? Anything happening?
No.
No.
So far, the teacher has been able to resign. And that is the most that has happened. And so that's why I say, like, coming from Maplewood and South Orange, there's so much in place to, like, stop people's growth, people of color specifically. And it's disgusting. It's really disgusting.
What other sit-ins have you been involved in?
So I also just did a sit-in with Seton Hall. This is actually the second one I've done with them. And it was to protect AFAM, which is African American Studies. And pretty much Seton Hall is a very, very rich institution, a Catholic school, private school, that does not want to fund African American studies, but they promote it on their website. They promote it all over the website, all over their pamphlets, and they will not fund it. No matter how many students want to take the classes, no matter how many Black students are on campus.
So what's the reasoning that they're giving?
They're saying that there are not enough students signed up as a major or minor, but they can't sign up for a major or minor because there aren't enough professors teaching the courses. So if someone goes there and they see on the pamphlet that they can have AFAM as a major, they go there and then recognize, oh, this is going to take me like 8 years to finish if there are no professors. And so then they're urged to do other things, to take other classes, to have different majors. Yeah. Right. And even, you know, the school will tell them like, oh, well, you know, if this is what you want to do, don't take AFAM. Why don't you take women's studies or a different kind of studies instead of taking African American studies? So
I wonder if that's happening across the country.
Oh, it is. It is.
That way, it's set up that way so that, oh God, this world.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to run for Board of Ed?
So I chose to run for board because I had a very interesting time in school, but it wasn't just me. A lot of black people in that district have had a very hard time in that school. So what they do is they track you, or what they did was when you're in elementary school, they start tracking you. So based on where you live in town, based on your race, they will track you. And then by the time that you are in high school, they'll put you in lower level classes. So it goes from level 2 to honors. And so by the time I was in high school, they had automatically put me in level 2 classes. And to get up at that time, you had to test to get into a higher level. But my family, like I had my nephews living with me at that time, so my parents are also taking care of infants and babies. So to also help me, get higher was a lot for them to even do. So, and we also didn't know that this was a thing. So my parents are like, oh, Felisha, you have to get your grades up. You have to do this, you have to do that. But level 2 is taught at a 5th grade level. But yet you're in high school being taught at a 5th grade level. So by the time I graduated high school, my GPA was a 1.1. And the only reason I got into college was because I went to drama school, and I got in strictly off of my audition. Right. And they gave me a chance, thankfully. But after that, I was like, I was doing so well in college. Right. Like, my grades were amazing. I was like, oh, it's not me.
Because you probably worked even harder.
Yeah.
Thinking.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not the problem. After college, I was like, it's not me. And so I need to go back and like make sure that this isn't happening to other people. Because I really thought, I was like, oh, I am not smart.
Right.
Like, there's no way I'm smart. All to, recognize I'm actually very intelligent. Right. And I have a lot to offer. But being in that school, even when it was time for me to go to college and I would go to my guidance counselor, he'd be like, well, maybe school's not for you. Right. They talk to you in all these ways that make you feel like you're better off doing not something that. Else. Yeah, something else completely.
Right.
And I'm like, no.
So is it that particular school only? Are there other schools that's happening in? I mean, is this like
for
a thing?
Sure? I think I do believe that it's a thing. I just think that this district gets away with it so much because they're rich. They have the money, and they have the access. They have the space to do it. Wow. And it's sad. It's gotten better since running for office. A lot has changed.
Really?
And I was able to pull a lot from under the rug.
Right.
Which was great. So even though I didn't win, I was like, yeah, but y'all changed a lot. Yeah, I had to do something.
Have you gone back since to see or checked on it?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, as of recently, I've been in town.
Yeah.
All the time, especially with everything that's happening with Dalen.
Right.
I've been very active. I've been at all the board meetings, all the board of trustee meetings. Like, I've been super active. I know they see me now and they're so stressed. I can tell every time they see me standing outside the building, they're like, oh my God, she's back. And it's like, yeah, I am. And I might be here to stay. So be careful.
Yes. Yes. And that's the spirit I got from you, and that's the spirit I wanted people to see, because you are doing and being and not afraid of being seen.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what inspired your single "Wash Your Soul"?
So that whole album is inspired by the MOVE organization.
What does MOVE stand for?
On a Move.
On a Move. Okay.
So it's just like we're on a move.
Got it.
I had a couple years ago, I was watching a documentary with my friends. It's called Let the Fire Burn. I'm pretty sure it's still on YouTube. And it's about MOVE. And I watched it and I was like, I had no idea that this was a thing. So MOVE was a family in Philadelphia, and they believed in life. That was their main belief, was we believe in life, animals, people, everything that has to do with life, the land. And so they would, they like dug up the like cement in their backyard, and it was all like ground, it was like soil. They had a lot of animals. They were vegan. They taught each other everything. The kids didn't go to school. They were homeschooled. And the Philadelphia government did not like them whatsoever. Their first house was, they like knocked their house down while they were still in it. And also had a shootout with them, and one of the officers died in the shootout, and so they blamed it on MOVE. And so they were known at that time as MOVE 9. There were 9 MOVE members in the house, and they were all arrested. So after after the government tore that house down, they moved into another house, and the government was trying to get them out of the house. They were trying to kick them out. They also built a bunker on the top of the house. And the government didn't like that. They built the bunker as well because they're like, we don't know what you're doing up there. We don't know what that's for. And so they wanted to get them out, but MOVE was like, we're not leaving. And so on Mother's Day, they went door to door and told everybody on that street and the next street that, you know, they were going to have a confrontation with MOVE and so that they should leave their homes. They ended up shooting into the house, dropping a bomb on the house. And then the fire department came and they asked the mayor, like, what do we do? And the mayor said, let the fire burn. And so the fire burned down the house. And then once the fire was so big, over 60 houses were burned down also in this Black community on Mother's Day at this time. So over 60 families lost their homes because of this. And then they decided to pour water in, but by the time they poured water in, they were drowning them. So everyone in the house died. I want to say there was 13 people in the house, women, men, and children. And they all died except for 2 of them. 2 got out. An older woman, her name is Ramona, and then a child. And after I watched the documentary, I Googled them, and I found their website, and I called the number on the website. I'm like, who knows who will answer? And it was Ramona, the survivor. And she invited me to come to Philly and have lunch with them. And me and my friends went, and while we were having lunch, they called one of the Move 9 members, or he called, he was in jail, and she passed the phone around for everyone to speak to him. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this feels important to me. These people deserve support, and getting them all out needs to happen. And now they are all out, thankfully.
Really?
Yeah. They're all out.
How long were they in for?
I want to say this happened in 85 or 83.
Wow.
Yeah.
What contributed to them getting out?
They had a lot of support. They had a lot of like lawyers. People in Philadelphia were really hands-on with MOVE also. Like they have great community, and they did not let up at all. They also did a lot of work with Mumia, and just political prisoners in general, getting political prisoners out. So thankfully they were all out. And also they were in for something they didn't do.
Correct.
You know, so.
Correct. But it still took a lot of years out of their lives.
Yeah, and every time they would be up for parole, it'd be like, oh, you have to apologize. And they're like, apologize for what?
For what? Yes. Okay. Hard. So now you work with them on what kind of projects are you?
So I haven't worked with MOVE since I've been in Philly. Like, this was like before Rhythm and Flow, before Costa Rica, before all of those things. I was really hands-on with MOVE, all of their events, everything they would do in community, I'd be there for. Speaking, performing, the whole 9. Yeah.
Okay. What does arrow, the symbol, signify?
So I've wanted to change my name for so long.
Why?
Because I was like, Felisha George needs a rest. She does everything. Felisha George literally does everything. And I was starting to feel like wherever I went, people would be like, oh, Felisha George. And then there's this sense of like, we know each other.
Right.
And I love it, and then I don't.
Right.
Sometimes I'm like, I want Felisha George to be able to chill in the background. And so I'm a Sagittarius.
Okay.
It's the bow and arrow.
Yes.
It's the bow and arrow, and I was like, oh, I love arrow, but I feel like I don't want it to just be arrow. Like, I want it to be something different. And I was in New Orleans, and I was seeing arrows everywhere, the symbol. I was just seeing arrow, the symbol, everywhere. I went on the floor as I was walking, at the bar, on my napkin. It was just like everywhere. And I was like,
what's going on?
Maybe it's just arrow, the symbol. You know, maybe it's arrow, the symbol.
Right.
That is my name. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with that. And also I feel like it's important for me to manifest in different ways as well. And so I'm like, as arrow, the symbol, every single thing that comes out of my mouth, I want it to stick. You know, like intentionally, I want it to hit the target every single time.
What impact do you want to make in this world, in the world that we're living in now?
I feel like that always shifts and changes for me. And I feel like right now, being yourself, you know, I feel like it's important for me to be myself and for others to do the same, like for us all to be comfortable in who we are and what we want to do. And it's so easy nowadays with the internet, Instagram, TikTok, to want to be something different. And a lot of people hurt themselves in the process of trying to perform and trying to be someone else. They lose sight of themselves. And I feel like, you know, back in the day, there was less of that issue. We were all able to kind of just be. That's right. You know, people were able to just exist and to love and to be. And so right now I feel like I'm showing more of myself, you know, even in the name change. I feel like even naming myself is a part of stepping out into more of me. And so I want people to do that and to fight for what they believe in and to be who they are fully, no matter what anyone thinks or says about it.
Right. So, see, we met in a certain way, and we've kind of grown over the time here. And what has impacted me about you is what has happened, what you've done with yourself in your art. For your art, just within a short span of time. What dates? What are the next things, the performances that you're having?
So I have a performance on June 10th. It's a poetry summit in Philadelphia. It's from the 9th to the 11th. I'm super excited for that too. I started with poetry, and so being able to kind of tap back into that and like release the beat and just do my thing feels really, really good and affirming. And like I said, stepping back into myself. So I'm excited for that. And then June 22nd, I'm performing at Newark Museum for hip hop's 50th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah. That's going to be, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. Wow. That's a biggie.
Yeah. That's a huge one. That's huge,
biggie.
huge.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy that you have made it in, because you come in all the way from Jersey to be here with me.
Absolutely.
I know it was a trip, but I wanted you to, I'm really moved by you and all that you do, the entire package, because you've also stayed quite grounded.
Yeah.
You know, and you're still teaching?
Yes.
Still teaching. So you're still working with the children out there with everything else that you're doing. And that's a great thing too. So I just wanted to be able to tell you that I see you, I hear you, and you matter.
Thank you, Ozzy.
You matter.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you to that fucking feminist for my t-shirt.
Because we love it.
Thank you to JC, to Rick, to Anton, Alexa, Ahmad, Podcast Central, and to you, my audience. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today. Please care to share. Remember, when you're on your beat, stay on the sunny side of the street safely. Be health conscious. Be kind to one another. And don't forget to give thanks for the little and big gifts while we strive to live that beautiful life.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Yes.
I'm really, really honored that you're here. I hope to get out to see you in Newark. But I am going to be following you no matter what.
Yes,
you're part of my heart.
Ozzy.
Thank you. I appreciate you very, very much. I see you, I hear you, and you matter. Thank you for standing out and standing up for those like Dylan and the others.
Yes, thank you.
That's why I said I love the whole picture.
Yes, I do my best.
Good. That's yes. That's a wrap.
Amazing.
Yes.